We are in store for a good one today, folks and folkettes. This is a three-way comparison that we will, in fact, well, nothing's a matter of fact until it happens, but we will probably be seeing this matchup at the Detroit Pro. And it will be taking place at the end of March. Not for a spell, but there's not much really going on. Until then, there's the Arnold Classic, of course, at the beginning of March. But anyway, this is going to be a great matchup. Detroit Pro, a rematch of Goodvito, Martin Fitzwater. Of course, a rematch from New York. We have Martin Fitzwater and Nick Walker. What a shootout in the front double, I have to say. Nobody really dominating too much. And to appease you size police, I'm sure you guys will be around, I used the side-by-sides of Goodvito to Martin Fitzwater, things of that nature, and Martin Fitzwater to Nick Walker. So, and furthermore, when it comes to an inch or a half inch, things of that nature, sometimes the side-by-sides, they don't jive with each other. That means somebody steps the line usually, so it doesn't really matter, does it? We're judging quality, not an inch here or there. But having said that, all these guys around the same dimensions. Goodvito, he is very good in terms of the wheels, good separation, arms, more than decent. Nick Walker, he has got a legendary set of bicep peaks. That's going to be hard to defeat. Stands up nice and tall in this one. Martin Fitzwater is a beast. Look at the midsection. It is tiny. And like I said, I did side-by-sides of him and Goodvito from the Detroit. And man, oh man, Martin Fitzwater has put on the muscle. So if it was a debate, or if it was not a debate, if you think Martin was beating Goodvito at the Detroit Pro, then surely he's beating him in the front double here. Is he beating Nick? It is a close one. I'm here to tell you. I do prefer Martin, but I like the arms of Nick. And I kind of like the whole package that Goodvito brings. But that is a great way to start this one. Going to be difficult for the judges. They will put them through the ringer. Go to the front lat spread and see. That's generally what happens when they're that close. It could actually be, you could be siding towards one guy. And if the judges work them till the lead man starts to sweat, starts to fail in the poses, then yeah, things can change. I don't know about this front lat spread, though. You have Goodvito, who sticks his arms out from elbow to elbow. I think this is the widest front lat spread that ever existed. He's got to bring the arms down. Of course, when he does, he kind of exposes the high inserted lats. And Nick Walker, I don't get it. He has good lats, but here they appear to be very highly inserted, and he is putting his hands down, and it really doesn't do him any favors. Let's be honest. I like Nick. Obviously, you guys know that you guys watch my channel. You guys know I support him. This is a pan-back picture of Nick, first of all, in the front lat spread. So the size is distorted a little bit here. Moony. You can definitely see. And, yeah, what can you say? Martin Fitzwater, he bends at the knees a lot more than he was at the Detroit Pro. Makes his quads look a whole lot better and more presentful. And he leans his upper body into it, and he puts his lats out, and I think he's doing enough to defeat the other two guys. So for those of you who are size police and saying, but Martin Fitzwater should be much taller. Well, I don't think so. I'm going to size him the way I believe that he would look. And furthermore, he's winning the shot. So what do you want me to do? Make him a little bit bigger and have him win the shot 2 times? I'm not going to give him 2 points. Goodvito, I think he has some capabilities of a good front lat spread. It's just funny how wide he gets. Who's winning between him and Nick? I don't know. You gotta remember, too, lads and laddises, Nick is head to toe peeled, shredded to the diced, and the other two guys are watery. I'm not gonna say that that's gonna happen, but You know what I'm saying? Nick would win. He'd win the front lat spread. Maybe. They might take that one away from him. Turn to the side. Interesting. Depending on the condition that these guys bring, this could be a walloper of a close one. There's nobody really dominating in the side chest. It was the same thing for me in the Detroit between Martin, Goodvito. Kind of the same thing at the New York for Martin and Nick. And here when oh my goodness, how rude of me. I didn't even tell you the versions. I put it in the label, if I spelled it right. But anyway, we have Goodvito from the Detroit. We have Nick Walker, interestingly enough, from the 2023? 3? Yeah, 3 Arnold Classic. Not used very often because he placed second, but I like that version. And we have the Olympia, Martin Fitzwater. I think this is the best case Ontario thus far for these 3. Of course, Goodvito, he's been getting better every time. And this was not his pro debut. His pro debut was right before that. He competed at the Arnold South America, right? I like his display, but I don't think he has the thickness of the chests to deal with even Martin Fitzwater. Nick's good, but gosh darn it, I kind of liked Martin Fitzwater in the side chest. But again, this is so close that it will depend on who is the most conditioned. I mean, they're all kind of the flavor of the month. Eh? Well, Goodvito, not yet, but he will be. And they will all be the flavor. Here's the side tricep. The flavor of the month. Side tricep. This is kind of the first pose. Well, in the front lat spread, I guess Martin was winning that one. But this one's the first one that it's a dominant win. And I think Nick Walker, this is also a pan back pitcher. And I looked at other versions of him, and he is just awesome. And I actually used the Detroit Pro for Martin Fitzwater. And I looked at many pictures of him and Goodvito, and I kind of have to side with Martin because his conditioning was a little bit better. So if it's a conditioning issue, Martin will win. And if Goodvito is more conditioned, I think it's close enough that I would give it to him. Gorilla, Mooney, McMahon. But I think Nick Walker, with his peeled abs from the side here, looks outstanding. So it is close from the front point of view. I guess Martin probably would edge the other 2 guys out based on the front lat spread and close in the front double. And Nick Walker ultimately would probably win from the side due to the dominance in the side tricep pose itself very close in the side chest. And that's all the way around. Now let's have a look at the back. This is going to be a shocker. Shock. To a lot of you fellers and fellacies, Goodvito is awesome. He's outstanding. Look at him next to Martin Fitzwater. And yes, I understand. Martin is much more peeled at the Olympia. But just look at the size of Goodvito. Unbelievable. And in terms of the New York Pro, the side-by-sides of Nick Walker and Martin Fitzwater, I think Martin leans back. He bends at the knees more than it looks. I think he goes very short in these back poses. And Nick looks like he's towering over him. But go back to the roll, that beautiful bean footage. Go back to this one here. No, I did not make Nick as tall because he's spreading eagle. See, now he's bending his knees. And I think Martin, he bends forward. And I think Goodvito does that too. But anyway. It's all just, it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. It is going to be down to the condition. Using these 3 versions, it looks like Martin Fitzwater. He is ahead of not only Goodvito, but Nick Walker as well. In terms of raw condition, Nick's back, it's usually dominating. But Goodvito, he has an awesome rear lat spread. Criticized for his back. Hey. Sure, I'll take that. But this pose here, he's pretty good. And I think there's capabilities of beating the other two guys. Martin Fitzwater, he has got some serious thickness back there. And if you're a judge sitting there looking up at these two fellers, yeah, I could see Martin dominating in the rear lat spread. And probably even with Nick Walker tossed in there. I don't know. I don't think Nick's back is beating Martin's. It occupies more space. Doesn't look as dense. Hard grainy nature. Is Nick beating Goodvito? That's actually quite a little matchup. Nick has lats go all the way down to the lower back. That could help, but geez Louise, Goodvito, his traps. Unbelievable. What a matchup. Detroit Pro. Here's the rear double. Rear double by. This Detroit Pro is going to sell itself. What a main event. So the Detroit Pro will be a must for you bodybuilding fans this year. Mark that down on your calendar. March 29th. These three studs are going to go at it. And it looks like Goodvito, he has the condition from behind to hang with these other two guys. Looks like it's close enough anyway. Ultimately, I still say Martin Fitzwater, the condition he brought to the Olympia, it's beating the other two guys. Now, in terms of the pose itself, Nick is winning. His back double by, much better than his rear lat. And it's not just the arms, because they are impressive. They're the most impressive. It's the back. It's the lats. Goes down to a nice little perfect Christmas tree. Makes the other two guys look like, I don't want to be disrespectful, but Nick's is obviously the best. Looks like a big bull. Big bull. And his butt muscles are the bull's nose. Nom sing. But either way, Nick Walker getting one back from Martin Fitzwater. Where does that leave Goodvito? His back double, not the best. I'll be honest. So the rear double bicep will be a pose to watch for sure for Goodvito. Not only for us fans, but for the judges as well. I'm sure they will be praying, hoping that he has improved on this pose. So please, Goodvito, us fans, we would like to see this. You'd be very complete with this, and then we'll worry about that front lat spread a little bit later on. Go to the abs and thigh. This abs and thigh of Nick Walker at the Arnold, I think this is the best he's ever hit. I've seen him at the Arnold 2021. He was good. New York Pro, his midsection was not as good as it was, I don't think, in previous events. So here at the Arnold, this is probably Nick at his best. This is one of his best renditions, versions, and I'm going on and on about this abs and thigh pose because I think it's actually beating Martin. And I can hear you Martinettes now. But Mark's max muscle, no one beats Martin in this one. Sure, his quad looks good, bubbly round abs. But Nick, he's shredded to the diced. Huge big V-taper, quads displayed nicely as well. And what about Good? Good old Good. He has to be good. He has that in his name. Nom sing. But either way, Martin, he is really peeled. And traditionally, I think he would get Walker in this pose. He was probably getting him at the New York, but using this ultimate version of Nick, I don't know. And Goodvito, he kind of deserves the win too. He should be the uncrowned king of the abs and thigh, right? Here's the most muscular. Oh, look. Just so happens that Goodvito, he has a crown on top of his head. Could you imagine the difference between Lou Ferrigno's old soggy donk that he brought to the bodybuilding stage compared to Martin Fitzwater's striated glutes and hamstrings? Lewis. Anyway, where did that one come from? Yes, Nick Walker. He's kind of dominating the most muscular. Now, one thing that could lose it for Nick in certain shots, not so much on the side, but from the front point of view. His legs can look not small, but the other two guys are long-legged. Get it? They got longer legs than Nick Walker. He has a long torso, heap, and short-legged individual. But as a whole, I mean, his wheels are beastly. They're beastly, no? Remember Beastly from Care Bears? Kinda sick stuff was going on there. Beast, tease, baby please, something going on there. They made him. No heart made him. He had no heart. But Nick does, and it beats like a drum. And if this is the version of Nick Walker that steps out onto that stage at the Detroit Pro, Martin Fitzwater will be in trouble. Of course, we have to realize Martin is much more peeled here at the Olympia. And if it was close at the New York, which it was, Martin much more peeled like he was here, he'd beat Nick Walker. But, of course, you can turn that coin around again and say, well, Nick is way better here than he was at the New York. So if Martin can improve from the New York, why couldn't Nick? It's going to be a close one altogether. I just don't see Goodvito. If he brings this version, mind you, I don't see him cracking into the top two here. I think it's down to Martin and Nick. And using these two versions, I kind of prefer Nick, but as far as the score sheet, I gave Martin quite a few poses here, and he's winning by, what, 1 point? 1 point? But I think if Nick was a little bit more shredded, I think from behind in the back separation, Nick would win. Nick would win. Would win. But yeah, you Martin fans, you guys can rejoice. Yes. Even I had Martin winning this one. And hey, I'm a huge Martin Fitzwater fan as well. It's just Nick's my number one. He made fun of me that time, or told him to mute that crap. Fuad Obiad. He told Fuad to mute that crap. Anyway, yes, Martin, he could win this one. He's probably winning this comparison. But very close. If you were to tweak it one way or the other, you give Nick the side chest, it would be a tie, or he'd be winning. If you give Nick the front double, he'd be winning. Front dub, sorry, save time saying front dub instead of front double biceps pose. Have a nice one, fellers.